Did you ever buy something just because I know you bought something. That's not the question.
Oh, that's rude.
Did you ever buy something just because you felt like it? And then later on, like when you had to think about it or you had to explain it to me, that you started coming up with all kinds of reasons why.
Rationalizations.
Yeah, but about why it was better than the one you already had, or the 10 you already had, or I know. There we go. See, or other choices. Well, I bought this because it's
It's shiny and new.
My favorite celebrity recommended it, for example. I don't know. I mean,
I don't do that.
I know you don't do that.
I know.
But you know what I mean?
I do. It sometimes it's on the end cap and you go, ooh, I need that.
Yeah. So this is a particular cognitive bias, and it's called post-purchase rationalization.
Oh, rude.
Yes.
Rude.
I'm gonna have to get my glasses here. I got some notes to read.
You got some explaining to do.
I got some explaining to do, Lucy. Okay. So this is a psychological phenomenon where somebody justify a purchase by finding resources or reasons to believe that whatever they bought was superior to all the other choices, even when there's little or no evidence to support that. We make, there's science behind it, but we make most of our choices emotionally. And then we justify them logically. We think we've made a logical decision, but really the process is, so this happens a lot, okay? Mostly we make an emotional decision because we feel something, and then
Or I just plain out want it.
And damn it. And so I don't know if you've done that or not, but I certainly have, and I'm going to throw her under the bus.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So another aspect of that also goes by another name called choice supportive bias.
I can see that.
That's hard to say. Choice supportive bias, and that is maybe a somewhat more. Well, they're just similar. The post-purchase rationalization might be a little bit less than more specific than the more general choice supportive bias, but we made a choice, and now we're going to...
And I'm sticking to it.
Right.
I'm not taking it back.
I'm not changing my mind. Okay, so then there's a next level. When we buy something big, like a car, or a boat, or something like that, right? Then, at that point, it becomes... This post-purchase rationalization becomes more like the opposite of buyer's remorse. You know what buyer's remorse is?
Well, yeah.
When we buy something and we feel bad about it, maybe I should take it back, maybe I shouldn't, all that self-doubt, right? The opposite of that is this where this is the best thing I ever did, and this is why, and blah, blah, blah. But we really want to feel good about that commitment that we made. It was a big one. And so at that case, it's also called buyer's Stockholm syndrome.
Oh, now that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Because, again, the Stockholm syndrome being that when someone is taken captive and held captive a long time, they begin to bond with the people that have captured them, taken them captive, and become
brainwashed.
You're brainwashed. Yeah. An aspect of this is that it can lead to overconfidence in the choices we've made. When we have this bias and we, for example, choose not to recognize it, then we're not only justifying or rationalizing our choices, we're rationalizing our process, right?
Oh, hell yes.
Yes. And so how can this impact a small business owner?
Whoa.
So let's take that into our specialty. Well, overconfidence in decisions, right? When we
lived with a lot of those.
So one example would be looking at the competitors and their products and saying, "Oh, well,
mine's better.
Mine's way better." And they don't accurately view their position within the competitive landscape. Another thing might be pricing. If they're overconfident in their choices, the products and the services that they're offering, then it can be, mine's worth twice as much as theirs, so I'm going to charge more.
Right.
And so it could lead to an imbalance there.
Come back and bite you in the...
What about customer relations?
Oh, that's a problem too.
You're
right.
If you don't like it, just head on down the road, right? That kind of overconfidence in our product could could be thinking ours is the better than anybody else's.
No more
and
soup for
not
you.
willing to listen could create a problem if somebody has a complaint or a problem with the product. But it also could, again, come back to how the product is delivered in terms of not meeting the needs of the market.
Right.
If customers are wanting, I don't know, clothing just came to mind. I wear a size small. When I go to a store, it's very hard to find a size small because most of the market is bigger. So if a store decided, because the store owner decided, if I open a store and I decided, by golly, small size is the best size, and so that we're going to have 80% smalls and only a few larges and extra large, what's going to happen to my business, right?
Gonna dry up.
That's really, really simple and silly, but that's this overconfidence that comes from this post-purchase. And post-purchase in this case is not buying the product as much as it is buying my own ideas. Right?
Yeah, and
we sell ourselves our ideas. Okay.
And that's another trap I think that small businesses get into, is that instead of doing any market research, or because we got caught in that too, what is it that I want? And everybody else is going to want the same thing.
Okay, we are actually coming to that. Yes.
Ooh, I'm good.
Yes, that is.
I have no clue.
Well, it would be innovation, product innovation, and adaptation to the market. Thinking that we know what everybody wants, and so we're not going to change. We're not going to resist. We're going to resist any new ideas.
Oh yeah.
And that, of course, gets into the generational stuff as well. But going back to the customer relations side for a minute, so that was the side of being the seller, the owner, dealing with customers that might not be happy, or we might not be listening to them. On the other hand, we also, as a business owner, and we have customers, we want to know, we need to be aware that our customers are subject to this bias as well.
True.
Okay? So if we're going back to that high ticket item, that big purchase where we have that, we want to feel good about that commitment, so and avoid buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
Well, what if we kind of help that? What if we build into our sales process and our customer follow-up process when we sell a big ticket item, that after within a short time after they've bought it, when they're likely to be feeling this way and maybe questioning their judgment, that we send them some sort of a message, say, hey, congratulations on making a really smart choice, really smart purchase.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Now, is that manipulative? I don't know. It may be skirting the line.
Yeah, I was going to say it's on that fine edge.
But it came up in my research of this of a way of, if we really believe that the person has done the right thing for themselves, then
Right.
That could be you can
And
take
we're not
that
doing
either
it
way.
just for altruistic.
Just for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. If it's not purely self-serving, but if it's hey, I want to check in with you, see how that thing is doing, how you're doing with your new car. Is it riding okay? How are you feeling? You feeling good about your purchase? You could
Have you
make
figured
it
out all the buttons?
You could make it where it's a genuine part of care too. I know from my own experience, when I make a big purchase, sometimes I start to question myself afterwards. Okay. And then the last thing would be in marketing, this overconfidence. We could overpromise. So thinking that,
how many of you been down that road?
yeah, thinking that we're the best, and our products are the best, and so it'll do anything. It'll cure. I better not go there. It'll just make everything better.
Exactly.
And there's never anything wrong with it. So we
And
can
the
overpromise.
sun's always shining, and it's always
and
70
overpromising
degrees.
leads to underdelivering.
Right.
Right. Okay. So those are some ideas about how this cognitive bias might affect a small business and the small business owner. How do we avoid it?
Yeah. How do we avoid it?
Well, as with all the cognitive biases, none of them can be completely avoided. It's not possible.
So it's awareness.
It's an awareness thing.
Okay.
So one of the ways that instead of avoiding, how do we minimize it? We ask for feedback. Ask for feedback. So that's both from our customers and our employees. Don't get lost in our own thoughts. Don't live in that little bubble. Steve Jobs, I think they call it a reality distortion bubble. But he was able to convince other people to come into his bubble. So ask for feedback. Ask for feedback and listen to it. So the next step is accept criticism. Okay, if the
That's
feedback
hard.
If the feedback is no, that's really not something. If the feedback is not what you wanted to hear or expected,
Right.
Well, accept that it's feedback, first of all, and it may be criticism. It may feel like criticism even when it's not intended that way. But accept it and then give it its due. It doesn't mean you just act.
Don't get my feelings hurt over somebody not liking my shiny stuff.
Right, and then the other, part of the acceptance is not rejecting. So not just because the temptation to reject that feedback or criticism would then turn it into reinforcing this cognitive bias and making it worse instead of better, right?
It could turn into an elephant real quick.
When you get some feedback, and then even if it's critical, then do some self-reflection, and put it in perspective for yourself. You can always ask yourself,
take a hot bath and a strong drink.
Is that reasonable? Is that accurate? Do I need to take this in? There's a lot we can do with that. Then do some market research. That's kind of a form of asking for feedback, but it's gathering your own data and just checking to see, if what you think it's testing to see if what you think is accurate.
Well, because sometimes just one person can throw a really good idea out of kilter because they're having a bad day or something happens, and the next thing you know, you're taking advice from somebody that really it has nothing to do with you.
Yes, and so that actually is another cognitive bias, the recency bias. If something, the last person we talked to, the last thing we heard about something stands out as much larger in our mind than the 15 or 20 other things that we heard before that. It's kind of like the perspective thing of something that's closer to you appears bigger than something that's farther away.
Well, and also, too, I think the whole thing of, we can accept or we hear criticism a whole lot quicker and we give it more weight than we do. Man, you're doing a really good job.
That's true. That's true.
That's all part of it.
And then the last thing would be continue to learn within your industry. If you're continually being curious about what's going on in the industry, what's new, and what changes are happening, and how the industry is adapting, because everything's always changing, right? Then by being part of that industry and getting that information, it's easier to go with that, to take in that new information and not be, again, in your own bubble. So both the owners and their customers are affected by this bias, and being aware of it, taking steps to minimize it, and recognizing it quickly are what we can do.
And with any of these, if you need more information, contact a Cooter Consulting Group.
Yeah, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. And of course, the internet's a big place.
That's right. And you can learn more about this too on your own.
We will look forward to seeing you in another video.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.